So technically, is Jonathan Kuminga a trade target? Since he's actually a free agent. The thing is, he's a restricted free agent. So, I think he's going to be involved in a sign and trade. Many of you may think, well, he's not going to be in a sign and trade actually, Joe, because the Brooklyn Nets have cap space. And he's probably going to be a Brooklyn Net. I don't think that's true. I do think he's going to be a Brooklyn Net, but I do think he's going to be involved in a sign and trade. Here's why. Although the Brooklyn Nets do have cap space to play around with, what I think they're going to do is they're going to say, we want to use our cap space, though. We want to use our cap space, and why use the cap space if we can do a sign and trade with Jonathan Kuminga? If we can offer Golden State Warriors a couple second-round picks, give them a little something so they can sign the deal and trade Kuminga to us. I think that's probably what could happen. Because who knows? Maybe the Brooklyn Nets say, hey, we want to go up into that luxury tax. We want to start using exceptions. We want to have Jonathan Kuminga's bird rights. Could happen. But one idea I kind of thought about, and for all intents and purposes, y'all know Jonathan Kuminga's probably going to be a Brooklyn Net. That's probably the way it's going to go down. That's what everyone's talking about. They're going to have Cam Thomas and Jonathan Kuminga on the same team. Fun. Does that team sound good? I don't know. There's a lot of Jonathan Kuminga stands, a lot of Cam Thomas stands. I am not either of those people. But the Brooklyn Nets are pretty excited about signing those guys. But what about this? What if the Bulls just say, hey, we want to be involved. We want to be involved in some way. We want to be involved in the offseason. We want our name on ESPN. We want our name on some podcast. We want the No Dunks guys to talk about us. We want the Hoop Collective. I guess that is ESPN. I should be okay with that light. I should be all right. I shouldn't be upset about that light because I've had it for a very long time and it was so cheap. It's the cheapest light money can buy. But I'm still upset that it does not work after 6 years, using it all the time. Can you hear the sounds of the sirens and everything? I do apologize, but hey, we're going. We're riffing. We're talking about Jonathan Kuminga. And I have more on him, because what if Vucevic... Did you know that sirens are 3 times as loud in the United States as they are in France? Isn't that interesting? They have no need for sirens to be that loud, because if you're close enough to hear them, you're close enough to get the fuck out of the way. So Chicago could make a play for Kuminga, and I think it could just be, sometimes you need a win. Sometimes if they could compete and say, hey, we can get off Vooch. What if we got off Vooch and we got Kuminga? Maybe the Bulls fans would get excited about that. Because there's a lot of ill will toward Vooch. A lot of Bulls fans don't really like him. If they were to get off the contract, they could say, hey, I saw a pretty cool dunk from Jonathan Kuminga once or twice. I liked that. Maybe he'll do that for us. Maybe you could get that. Maybe you could get Bulls excited, Bulls fans excited about Jonathan Kuminga. Because the Warriors have been rumored to want Vooch. They're an old team. They don't really care that he's 47 years old. It doesn't matter to them. They don't need him for a long time. They're looking for a good time for a short amount of time. They're looking for a hookup situation. So they're down to get Nikola Vucevic to play next to Draymond Green, I assume. Draymond can handle the defensive end because Vooch can't. But Vooch can shoot threes. I think he was scoring like 18.95 something points per game this year. He's scoring a lot of points and he's shooting really well from three. So on paper, he looked good. Is he a good player? No. Think twice. But the Warriors do not care. The Warriors are cashing out all their chips for the last couple of years here with Steph and now Jimmy. So I think that could work too. So, number 10. Jonathan Kuminga. And can you do that deal straight up? Can you do Vooch for Kuminga? Throw in Javon Carter. He is not getting paid $21 million. I believe that must be a copy-paste situation. I'm getting lazy. I apologize. I think he is getting paid $5 million. So my projected Jonathan Kuminga contract is going to be $30 million a year. I think he's going to get $120 million for 4 years, which I think is what the Golden State Warriors offered him. Evidently, he wanted $200 million for 5 years. Did you know that? I think he wanted like Scotty Barnes contract, which is, I'm not trying to laugh at the guy, but he turned down a $120 million for 4-year contract from the Warriors, allegedly. I don't know if that's in stone, but I think that's what he's going to get. I think he's going to get $120 million, so 30 a year. So Booch and Carter would make the deal work with no assets. Who says no? So Lauri Markkanen, I think the Jazz could trade him because I think the Jazz, the thing is they have Danny Ainge as their general manager. And Danny Ainge has gotten confused about the mini game of the NBA, which is collecting assets, collecting trade assets. And he sort of forgot about championships. He's like, yeah, like some teams, some organizations, they win championships, they hang banners. That's sort of what they're interested in. I'm more interested in collecting assets and maybe a trade exception here and there. So I could see they signed Lauri Markkanen last year. They extended him for 4 years. That extension kicks in this year. So I could see them punting another 4 and be like, okay, well, he's a trade. Maybe we can get some more assets back. Maybe we can get more for him. So they keep getting some type of talent and then trading him away and basically saying, no, we don't want to win. We just, keep hoarding stuff. That's what I think the Jazz are doing. So I could see them wanting to start with someone younger because Markkanen is 27. So I think they could trade him away. So to the Magic, because he does shoot threes really well. I feel like anytime I talk about the Magic, I'm always talking about how they can't shoot threes. Anyone I recommend, hey, they should trade for this guy because he can shoot. I feel like a sneak diss saying, yeah, the Magic can't shoot, but it is true. So he could play well there. But you know what the most fun trade idea I have? The 76ers. Yeah. Why come up with a reasonable trade that'll probably happen when you could come up with something stupid and ridiculous? Like the Sixers trading Paul George, and I think the salaries are just about the same. Trading Paul George and the number 3 pick this year. So we're talking, the Jazz would say, ooh, we get Ace Bailey. Basically, do we want to trade Lauri Markkanen? Because Lauri Markkanen, I kind of like curse the Jazz, right? So the Jazz I forget what pick they got this year, but they got a really low draft pick and they were really bad. They had really high odds of getting a really good draft pick and they got a really bad one. And of course I feel like good. It's because there is a basketball god and he hates you, Utah Jazz, because you sucked, because you didn't make the sacrifice. You didn't even play Lauri Markkanen. You tried too hard to lose. And God doesn't like that. So they're cursed. So what I think they might do this year is say, okay, you know what? Maybe Paul George is good. Maybe we can rehab him. Maybe we can turn him into something by the trade deadline. And then we can get what Danny Ainge wants. A little more assets, baby. Couple second rounds, couple first round picks. Yeah, that's what's up. I think they might do that. So they say, hey, we're going to build around Ace Bailey. It didn't really work out with Keontae George, but we're going to build around Ace Bailey. Or perhaps VJ Edgecombe, one of the two. And that'll be the move. And then maybe Paul George will be good. What do you think? And then the likelihood, I forgot to talk about my likelihood meter. No one has cap space. Anyway, LaMelo Ball. What did I mean by no one has cap space? Oh, you know why I skipped that? I skipped that real quick because I thought it was another mistake. It is not a mistake. So I think it's a high likelihood that he gets traded because no one has cap space. So if they do want to make a move, they're going to end up trading for a guy. So a team that does really want to make a big change in their organization, those teams aren't going to have cap space. And they're especially not going to have cap space to sign a giant contract like this one. So they might have to trade for it. I didn't mess up. I don't make mistakes. The whole organization, we got fact checkers. There's a guy over here. I have a printer. There's a guy running the printer. It's insane. They're very quiet. So LaMelo Ball. He's on a giant contract. One thing I wanted to bring up about LaMelo Ball. 36, 22, 47. What do you think that is? It's the last 3 seasons, how many games he's played. Somehow LaMelo Ball gets like a little bit of a pass that Zion doesn't get. I find that kind of fascinating. But word on the street is the Clippers are interested. Have you heard this? Have you heard these rumors? I'm a little incredulous because they're coming from Lou Will. I think Lou Will just said he'd look good in the Clippers uniform. I think that's all Lou Will said was, hey, I think he'd be good on the Clippers. But apparently Lonzo said something about that too. I don't really see it. I don't think they'd really be interested. I could assume maybe that if they do lose Harden, they're going to want another creator, and that could be LaMelo Ball. That's really it. But they would have to lose Harden. Or what if this? What if this? Hear me out. What if Harden opts in? Doesn't get any offers. So it's a whole Philadelphia 76ers situation. Doesn't get any offers. Clippers don't offer him anything. So he's like, I'll take my $36 million. I'm opting in. Trade me. And then he opts in. So they go to the Hornets. They're like, hey, we're interested in LaMelo Ball. We'll give you James Harden, expiring contract. And here's some other stuff. You know, here's a 30th pick in this year's draft because they have that from Oklahoma City. And the Hornets say, sure. They're really what the Hornets would say is they'd say, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, just send it to our lawyers. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. That's the Hornets. They're just depressed. They're on Lexapro, man. They are hopeless. They don't know what direction they're going. So they might even say, just give us. They probably want a little more. They probably want this 30th pick. Because what they could do, let's say Harden opts out. You go Bogdanovich, Jrue Eubanks, Derek Jones Jr., Nicholas Batum. I don't know why it says Nicholas Batum. I think it auto-corrected. And that'll work. And then you get the 30th pick in this year's draft. And then you get a 2031 first rounder. I know it's a long way, but it'll be here sooner than you think. So that could work. I don't know. I like that, though. It's at least interesting. I don't think it's a good idea for the Clippers because I think in the stock speculation of LaMelo Ball, I think he's a little high. I would maybe short sell on LaMelo Ball. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? It's a big contract, man. It's a really big contract. Zion, man. You know what? I talked about on the Patreon. Join the Patreon if you'd like. $2 a month, weekly podcast. Ain't no better deal in town. Go run around town. Go negotiate with somebody. So you can get a podcast for that price. Other than the millions of free podcasts. I talked a little bit about Zion Williamson. And I'm not going to say the word, but the essay, the allegations, if you will. I talked about that. So here's the thing about those. I'm going to tie this up into a nice bow. If you want my real opinion, y'all got to get on the Patreon to hear me talk about that. And I probably feel a little different than you would think I would. Huh? You're intrigued, huh? So, really what this is sort of like I'm surprised it's a smear campaign. He's filing I think he's filing a defamation suit. Which sucks. Which, I don't know. You gotta do it. I understand. Justin Baldoni, he had to do it. Had to file a defamation suit. You gotta retaliate to at least show that you're not trying to weasel out of it. You need to say, hey, I didn't do this. I ain't out here doing that type of stuff. That ain't me, man. I go to a church, man. I ain't been about that. You have to. So his stock might be down a little bit. Zion Williamson, is if it wasn't already particularly down. He's kind of perfect for a Giannis trade, isn't he? Because there are a couple swaps. I think the Pelicans could trade back from the Jrue trade a lot of those swaps. I think all the picks have now expired from the Jrue trade. They've already happened. You know what I mean? They've exacted. That's not the word. What's the word? When a trade actually happens. Conveys. Yes, they've already conveyed. So there are a couple swaps left, but they could do a 2025, which is this year, the 7th pick overall, 2027, and 2029. In exchange for Giannis, they would get Kelly Olynyk, and they would get Zion to make the salaries match. And then they would get Giannis. Do they need more first-round picks, would be my question. Because the Bucks are in a situation where I think they would just do it. They'd say, hey, okay, we've kind of blown our load here with Giannis over the past 10 years. And it's been great. And the city of Milwaukee thanks him. We got a championship. And hey, maybe the good times can continue if we take on Zion. He's had some good moments. Maybe they won't. We don't really care because it's rebuilding time anyway. We'll take 3 years of Zion. Oh, he tore both ass cheeks mid-game. He's out for the next 3 years. Meh, so what? We don't care. We thought that might happen. It was really about the picks. That's what I would imagine. So, Jrue. Boston's got to get rid of somebody, man. It's a private equity group that acquired the Celtics. They trying to make money. They trying to be in the black, man. This ain't no family business, man. They're trying to make cash. They are going to come in and cut costs. I imagine they're going to try to buy a stadium. Are they building a stadium? I think they're going to try to build a stadium. They're going to try to get out of the Boston Garden, and they're going to try to build a stadium so they can start making real money. But the first thing they got to do is say, hey, Jrue Holiday, you're going over there. Jaylen Brown, you know what? You're going over to, how's Houston? How do you feel about Houston? You got family there? I don't know. I think that's what they're going to do. So the Jrue trade, I think Jrue is going to be the first to go. I don't think they want to trade Derek White. I think they're going to trade Jrue over Derek White because he's older. And I think the Mavericks could be interested because Kyrie, I believe, is going to be out for the full season if I had to predict it. Because Kyrie did wait. I don't know. He took a long time to get his surgery after his knee injury. I thought it was crazy that Tatum got his surgery the day after he got injured. But Kyrie, he did not. And maybe I'm not a physical therapist by any means or an orthopedic surgeon, but maybe you got to wait a while for a knee. But he scheduled his surgery not immediately after like Tatum did. Listen, I like to make fun of Tatum any chance I get. But I respected that. He was under the knife the following day. Might have been within 24 hours. God damn. So I think Jrue is going to he could end up as a Maverick just for the year. Not for the year, but they might move on without Kyrie because, Kyrie's going to opt in. Who knows? Then they might throw out Daniel Gafford because they might say, hey, we got a big. We got Anthony Davis. We're going to have him play the 5. We've got Caleb Lively. Caleb Lively? The 3rd? Is it Caleb? Derek Lively the 3rd. I saw Caleb Martin on here. We'll get rid of Gafford. And the Celtics might say, ooh, Porzingis is terminally ill. So he's not going to be playing very much for us. Daniel Gafford on a $13 million contract. They're doing it. They're doing it, no doubt. Not because they like Daniel Gafford. It's because he's not that expensive. And then they'll throw him the Lakers pick, the 2029 Lakers pick, I think. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Cam Johnson. Okay. Now, he's been on all my trade target lists, but the Nets never seem to, actually. He's sort of the new Kyle Kuzma, where it's always, are they going to trade? Who's going to get them? Who's going to get Kyle Kuzma? And then every team is like, we're good. Nah, not interested. But Cam Johnson is way better than Kyle Kuzma because he shoots really well. 39% from 3, shooting 7 a game, 18.8 points. This guy's hot. You got 2 years left on a $43 million contract. Someone should take him. I said they might try to make it work with him because they've got, from what I heard from Nets fans, from the fans of this show, who talked to me about the Nets, I thought they were rocking with Clax. Apparently not. Apparently they want him out. I assume then they want to keep Cam Johnson because Cam Johnson is good. But they're always talking about trading him. He is a little bit older. He is 28 years old. You probably didn't know that. I think he might have been a 5-year guy in college. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm not exactly sure, but the Magic would be nice because I heard they can't shoot threes. Someone told me that. Someone told me that they kind of suck ass from deep. And I heard they're also cursed because they got KCP to shoot threes, who's a good three-point shooter. Got down to the swamp, sucked ass. Weird. So maybe Cam Johnson would suck ass if he was in the swamp too. I don't know, but they might as well try. And then the Warriors, maybe they could do... I thought the Warriors could also be in that Jonathan Kuminga deal. What do you think of that? The Warriors could work something out with the Nets to put something together. You know, the Nets would get some second-round picks that the Golden State Warriors have lying around. They do the sign and trade. I don't know. Maybe. All right, so Sabonis. This was just a fun one I wanted to do. People are talking about him not being super thrilled. It has to be tough for him now that the Pacers are going to the NBA Finals. You know? Because who won the trade? We all know who won the trade. Of course, the West is very difficult. Things didn't really work out, but the Pacers are in the finals, man. Good for them. I love watching the Pacers. The Pacers, they got a vibe, man. And I like the way they play. I liked the Knicks when they were playing Boston, but once they were out, and then I was looking at Timothée Chalamet. It is, you know, what can I say on YouTube? Because I want to be gross, I want to be crass, I want to say nasty things, but I don't want to get demonetized. I guess I could have censored it, but listen, I like Ben Stiller. I like Meet the Parents. I like Zoolander. I like Dune. I like Timothée Chalamet. I like Call Me By Your Name. I'm a fan. I even like that movie he was in, Don't Look Up. I like the deep cuts, man. Get them off the screen. Get them off the broadcast. I don't want to see them. I want to watch basketball. I do not care how Timothée Chalamet feels about that bucket. Go Pacers. I'm glad the Pacers won. It was funny, though, because I was rocking with the Knicks when they were playing the Celtics. I think I just root more against teams than I root for them. Because I'm twisted. I'm sick in the head. So Sabonis didn't work out with the Kings, so I think he might be moving on. Maybe to the Magic, shoot some threes. Maybe to the Pistons. That was something I thought about. And then I also thought, what about Memphis? He'd be nice next to Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. can block. Pretty good defender. Sabonis can't. Rebounding. Sabonis can get some rebounds, man. He can get some offensive rebounds, too. Jaren Jackson Jr. can't. And they can both shoot threes. That was something I was thinking about. I really like that one. I don't know why I didn't include it in the slide, but I thought about bringing up Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart, Simone Fontecchio. Simone Fontecchio? Simone. Yeah, that's right. So I thought, put all those together. They're sort of just contracts. You know, I hate to say it, but they're sort of just contracts. I didn't even look at all those guys' stats to be like, hey, maybe they could provide some value to the Kings. I was more like, let's just put together a bunch of salaries and then we'll talk picks, baby. A 2026, a 2028, 2030. All unprotected, raw dog picks, man. I think that could work if the Pistons were interested. They could play Jalen Durant next to him. Because I think Sabonis is a way better pick and roll guy than Durant is. I'm not saying Durant's bad. I just think Sabonis is one of the best. So, moving on. Jarrett Allen. Okay, so one thing I was thinking about was, what did Cleveland do wrong? I couldn't even remember. I thought, what did Cleveland do wrong? What went wrong in that Pacers series? So I cheated. You know what I did? I said, hey, ChatGPT, remind me what went wrong for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The thing is, ChatGPT is getting so good. You remember how it used to say, I'm dumb. I don't remember what happened in the last 2 years. I got hit with a brick. Now it knows up to date. It can do up to date research. And it reminded me that they had some injuries. So Mobley missed a game, Garland missed some games, and Mitchell missed some games. So I'm seeing a lot of Jarrett Allen, hey, we already got a rim protector with Evan Mobley talk. I'm seeing a lot of this, so there's talks of sending him packing, but I don't really know what they need. But I do know that the Lakers need a center. They need a big. Because they've got Jackson Hayes. I talked about Jackson Hayes on the Patreon, by the way. Talked a lot about Jackson Hayes. Not a fan. Also, do some research on Jackson Hayes. See if he's cool. Got a feeling you're not going to think he is. So, the Lakers should try to get Jarrett Allen, I think. What are they going to do? I think they could get they would have to give up Austin Reaves. And I'm also, Austin Reaves seems like he's opposite. I think he seems like a really great dude. I like him a lot. But I've never really been a huge fan of his game. He always feels a little bit unstable to me, a little bit shaky. I think he's a great scorer, but a little bit slippery, in my opinion. And then throw in Gabe Vincent to make it work. It's a thought. I don't know. Something to consider. KD. Okay, so he's got to go. I think ownership of the Suns might be, because I don't know, is it James Jones still? Did he get fired? I don't know what's going on over there. It might even just be Matt Ishbia making the calls. I'm not sure. But I don't think they're going to like the offers they get for KD. I think they're going to get pretty disappointed. So that's why it's not a 10 out of 10 likelihood he gets traded. I think things are pretty gross over there. I think the vibes are atrocious. And I think Durant is probably the main reason. I think he wants to go. But I could also see them just saying, hey, we didn't get enough stuff. We traded away a lot for you. We want to get a lot back. So I could see that. But I think the Timberwolves, who don't have a lot to trade, I think the Timberwolves I think they could end up with him. Just because they have to. I think it could just get to a point where they are like, man, we can't even, when he walks into the training facility, when KD walks into the training facility alone, all of a sudden everyone in the whole building is like, ooh, I just felt that. It got cold in here, didn't it? I could see Durant being that way, where it just becomes such a dark cloud that they say, Timberwolves, give us everything you got. And they're just pulling together second round picks to acquire KD. Because I think they really do want him. But the other thing they could do, and I think the Knicks might do this. Cat is great. I like Cat. I call Cat the running back, dude. Cat is the only player, and you've seen this. If you were watching any Knicks games this year or last year as a Timberwolf, he's the running back. When he gets the ball, he tucks the ball under his arm, and he runs. He runs like a running back. Have you seen this? It's incredible. He's the only player that I know does it, but he will tuck the ball under his right arm, and he'll straight up stiff arm to the hoop. I think that's why he has the most offensive fouls in the league. It works, but I don't really think the Brunson-Cat thing, not much of a pick and roll there. It's more of a Robinson-Brunson pick and roll. I don't know. They're very expensive guys. I think you got to pick one or the other, and I think KD might work a little bit better as secondary, as maybe a scorer, less of a creator than Brunson is. And they may say, hey, you know what? These 3 years of Karl-Anthony Towns, maybe the Suns would be more interested in him. I think the Suns could feel good about trading for Karl-Anthony Towns. I think you could trick them into believing that they won the deal. Maybe throw in Knicks might get a second rounder out of it. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Because I just had a moment where I realized maybe I don't know which side people are going to be on. Are they going to be like, are you kidding me? Kevin Durant for Cat? And I don't know which side, Because the one thing is, KD, you only have 1 year on that deal. He's going to come knocking for an extension. You don't necessarily have to give it to him. These are things to consider. I really like talking about that, though. And then Giannis, of course, is the prize of the offseason. Everyone is going to want Giannis, and I get it. It's pretty good. Huge contract, so you got to sort of push some stuff together. And, you know, the Spurs, by way of players, don't have a lot to offer. You got to give up Castle. And like I said before, like I said a couple weeks ago, if you really compare Castle's rookie season to another rookie season of the past, because you're looking class to class, comparing Stephon Castle against the rest of his class, you're like, whoa, this guy's crazy. He's awesome. He's so good. But then if you compare him to like the 2020 class, it's kind of average. So Stephon Castle's stock is hot. But in reality, he might have Karl-Anthony potential. No disrespect to either guy. So you throw Keldon Johnson in, and then Devin Vassell, who's just sort of the generic overpaid guy. And then you get the number 2 pick this year, which will probably be Dylan Harper. The Bucks are probably hype about that. Like, yeah, number 2 pick. And then the 14th pick. There's some good guys down in that range. And then you get ATL's first round pick in 2027, and then you get the 2031 own pick. This is also another trade that I really like, and I really like talking about. I think it could definitely work, because the Bucks, you get guys you don't really get. You're not going to be very good in the present. No, sorry, it's not really going to be an awesome thing. But if you really believe in Dylan Harper, that's exciting, because that's the thing about this pick. The guaranteed number 2 pick in a good draft is hot. It is a dice roll that has already been rolled, and it's Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes good? I got a feeling Snake Eyes is bad. I don't gamble. So a pick, it's a bird in the hand. A bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. You got Dylan Harper, and you're going to build your team around him. And then you got some nice picks coming up. I like it. I think it works for both teams. I would prefer, though, the Zion for Giannis and Kelly Olynyk, lest he forget. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting offseason, so they say. But, yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Join the Patreon. Like I said, I already plugged it. You already know what it is. That's it. Be good to your mammies.